today I'm going to be kind of going over just a little bit on crowd psychology and how to use it for business, and basically just what it is, who kind of created the theory of crowd psychology. And then in later videos, I'll be going into much more details on how to use crowd psychology for advertising, how to use crowd psychology to evoke emotions within consumers, and how to use crowd psychology to really excite your audience and get them thinking as true consumers. So, crowd psychology was first formed in 19th century, early 20th century, and it was really brought to the public by a psychologist named Gustave Le Bon. He wrote the book The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind, and I'm pretty sure that came out in 1895. So when he first came out with the theory of crowd psychology, he was more talking about the crowd in a physical sense. So say a football game where there's a lot of people, or a protest, or a rally, or really anywhere where there's a big number of people with some sort of message or idea that's driving them. But as our society has progressed, the crowd is now more of a spiritual collective. It's more of a dispersion of individuals physically separated, but whose cohesion is entirely mental. So that means I could be in the same crowd as someone from Bangladesh, South Africa, whatever, as long as we have the same primitive ideas, we are part of the exact same crowd. We just don't have that anonymous factor to us. And that's a big part of crowds. When you're in a crowd, in the standard physical sense of a crowd, the more people there are, the more anonymous you become, and the more you rely on your primitive instincts. So you're going to be much more susceptible to violence, to sadness, or to really any emotion if there's a large group of people that say you're at a rally and it turns violent. Now, if you were alone, you wouldn't just go looting and pillaging an entire city. But as a crowd, you aren't yourself. You lose your individuality and you become part of the crowd as a whole. And if there's one person kind of feeding you emotions, they basically control that entire crowd and get them to do whatever they want. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but symbolism can have massive power when it comes to grouping people together in crowds. Pictures are the surest way to convey an idea. Think about the standard saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Pictures really get people to think, and they get people to think alike with powerful imagery. Crowds have always undergone the influence of illusion, and whoever supplies that illusion to them is their master. When in a crowd, people function based off natural, primitive instincts that come from the subconscious, hidden parts of our brains. And essentially, our subconscious kind of takes over, and we become kind of like a shell of our former selves. So according to Sigmund Freud, who is another kind of pioneer when it comes to crowd psychology, he stated that primal emotions become widespread when we're in a crowd, and individuals destroy their superego, the moral and critical center of consciousness, and it gets replaced by a larger-than-life crowd leader. So that's basically saying that we lose our rationale and we function solely based off emotions. So crowd psychology is essentially, the theory is that it exists on 3 levels. So the first level being submergence stage, and that sees people lose themselves within the crowd. So this is where that individuality begins to go away, and the anonymous factor of the crowd makes them lose all of our character traits. The second stage of crowd psychology is called the contagion stage, which is essentially just how it sounds. It's when the individuals begin following the ideas of the crowd with unquestionable faith. So that brings me to the third and final stage of crowd psychology, which is the suggestion stage. And the suggestion stage is essentially when crowd members become susceptible to any idea or emotion that their leader is throwing at them. That was the first video that I did kind of without reading a script or kind of looking at the whole essay while reading. It's also my first time in front of the camera. Extremely awkward, very unpleasant. But I'll try and get used to it. Hopefully I can, or else this is just gonna suck. But I'll keep trying them. If they perform a little better, maybe I'll keep doing them. But really I'm just doing this for fun, kind of get my ideas out there, and maybe if some people find them cool, they find them cool. But thanks for watching. If you made it this far, it means a lot to me, because I know these are kind of boring, so thank you. And I'll try and make them a little more fun and engaging as I go. Yeah, I'll keep progressing. We'll see how they go. And I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Thanks.